A very good evening to all of you and welcome to the news tonight, where we get you the day's top national and international stories. I'm Tracy Shilshi and our top story is of course the Nitish versus Manjhi drama. All details of that coming up after the headlines. Another show of strength in the capital, this time the JDU's. Party leader Nitish Kumar takes 128 MLAs to meet President Pranab Mukherjee, blames the BJP for the political crisis in Bihar. Aam Aadmi Party gets down to work. Party chief Arvind Kejriwal meets Union Ministers Venkaiah Naidu and Rajnath Singh, gets assurance of full cooperation from the centre. Another Sena shocker for the BJP. Samna editorial says both Modi and Amit Shah should take responsibility for BJP's debacle in the capital. And fresh fighting breaks out on Ukraine border, even as negotiators gather in Belarusian capital Minsk to hammer out a peace deal. Our big story, Nitish Kumar paraded 128 lawmakers before President Pranab Mukherjee today to prove that his claim to the post of Chief Minister of Bihar is indisputable. He was accompanied by Samajwadi Party Chief Mulayam Singh Yadav and RJD President Lalu Yadav. And after meeting the President, the lawmakers reiterated that BJP was behind the political drama that unraveled in Bihar last week.
A show of strength at the Rashtrapati Bhavan in Delhi. Former Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar met the President on Wednesday with 128 of his MLAs in tow. With him were JDU President Sharad Yadav, SP Chief Mulayam Singh Yadav and RJD President Lalu Yadav.
डेलीगेशन में आदरणीय राष्ट्रपति जी से मिले हैं और हम लोगों ने यह बात उन्हें बताई है कि बिहार में बहुमत का समर्थन हम लोगों को प्राप्त है।
राष्ट्रपति शासन लगाने के का जो अप्रहेंशन है, हम लोगों को अगर एक कोशिश किया गया तो हम लोग नहीं जानते हैं कि क्या होगा बिहार में।
Nitish Kumar staked claim to lead the government in Bihar after he was chosen the leader of the JDU legislature party on Monday. Kumar has said he wants to take a trust vote immediately to clear the path for his return as Bihar Chief Minister. But Governor K.N. Tripathi has denied him that right. Following the delay in a decision by the governor, Nitish Kumar flew to Delhi.
हम लोगों का यही आग्रह है कि इस मामले में तुरंत फैसला होना चाहिए, क्योंकि फैसला लेने में विलंब से वहां का माहौल प्रदूषित हो रहा है, हॉर्स ट्रेडिंग को बढ़ावा दिया जा रहा है, उसको अवसर देना चाहते हैं सदन में अपना बहुमत साबित करने का, वो अवसर दें, लेकिन यह न्यूनतम समय मिलना चाहिए, कम से कम समय मिलना चाहिए ताकि कोई निर्णय तत्काल हो सके।
Earlier in the day, the Patna High Court had stayed Nitish Kumar's election as the legislature party leader.
विधानसभा अध्यक्ष का जो सचिवालय, जो कार्यालय है, उस कार्यालय से जो पत्र आया, उस पत्र में जो त्रुटियां हैं आज हाई कोर्ट ने उजागर कर दिया और ये हमारी पहली जीत है।
हम माननीय उच्च न्यायालय के इस फैसले का स्वागत करते हैं और माननीय उच्च न्यायालय के इस फैसले से एक बहुत बड़ा बिहार को राहत मिला है। बिहार के मुख्यमंत्री आदरणीय जो महादलित वर्ग से आते हैं, आदरणीय जीतन राम मांझी जी, जिस बेइज्जत करके जिस तरीके से उन्हें हटाने की कोशिश की जा रही थी, इससे रोक लगाने का काम किया है माननीय उच्च न्यायालय ने।
A constitutional crisis in Bihar emerged after the JDU legislature party not only chose Nitish as its leader but also removed Bihar Chief Minister Jitan Ram Manjhi from the party. Manjhi was handpicked to be Chief Minister 9 months ago by Nitish Kumar himself. With inputs from Shyam Sundar and Navvikram Singh, Bureau Report for Rajya Sabha TV.
In fact, Shyam Sundar, our correspondent, joins us from the capital for more on this story. Shyam, what are sources telling you at this point of time? Do we expect any kind of intervention at all from the President?
Well, President has given assurance to JDU leaders that he will look into the matter. But what we know is that this question is a settled issue by Supreme Court in SR Bomai case, that whenever this kind of situation will arise, the issue will be settled in the assembly only, on the floor of the house. So everybody knows that whether it is Jitan Ram Manjhi or Nitish Kumar, if they have to prove majority, they have to prove it in the assembly. And That's what Nitish Kumar is demanding. The question is, when governor will ask Jitan Ram Manjhi or Nitish Kumar to prove the majority. Nitish Kumar is demanding that governor should not wait for the budget session of Bihar Assembly. He is asking for special session, and his plea is because in budget session government will present its budget, and before that governor will address the assembly, and that address is the policy document of the present government. And if there has to be a new chief minister, then that vision should go in that speech of governor. That is Nitish Kumar's plea. Now we have to see, because governor wants to verify every fact, and he wants to convince himself before giving any chance to any of the leaders or any of the groups, and
Yes.
so we have to wait and watch.
That's right. In fact, that budget session to begin on the 20th of February, so over a week still to go. So no wonder Nitish Kumar, of course, asking for that special session. Thanks, Shyam, for joining us on that, getting us an update on what we can expect in this story. However, talking over the larger implications, we've got also Mr. JP Yadav, who's a special correspondent with the Telegraph, joining us in studio today. Mr. Yadav, first of all, the significance really of Nitish Kumar coming all the way to Delhi and, you know, showing the amount of MLAs that he has. How significant is that? What could be the significance, rather, of that?
It's basically a political battle Nitish Kumar is waging. He's coming to Delhi, and timing it with the Delhi election results holds significance, because the entire thing had been timed so that it coincides with the Delhi election results, and central government which stands demoralized after this victory. So he is basically a political battle he is trying to wage. He knows that there is no solution here. This parading will not probably give him the solution. The solution lies somewhere else. But it's a political battle. He is trying to prove a political point. Nitish Kumar, who had subsided or eased himself out of the chief minister's chair after Modi's victory, since he had parted ways with the BJP on Modi's question, and now he has got somewhat strength to bounce back or claim his pound of flesh or whatever political space he is looking for. He is trying to champion himself as an anti-BJP politician who is looking for support, and he is trying to show that I am still powerful and we can stop the BJP in Bihar.
That's right. But is that, you know, that show of strength, you know, him claiming to be powerful, whatever he is trying to prove at the moment, at least in the capital, but in the state he is, of course, on, you know, you know, the foundation's not quite right. It's a bit a stumbling block there with the Patna High Court ruling that he's you know, he being elected as the party's leader is illegal.
Yes, indeed, a peculiar situation has arisen in Patna, because the governor, the budget session has been prorogued from 20th of this month, and it was a decision of a cabinet of a majority government. Jitan Ram Manjhi was in a majority then. He was a chosen one of Nitish Kumar. So that decision the governor has taken. Now Nitish Kumar is demanding a special session. When the assembly has already been prorogued for the budget session, how constitutionally I am not sure whether there is a provision for special session. Suddenly in the midst when the budget session is just a week ahead. So I believe it would be difficult to take a call for the governor also, and since the High Court has given till 18th, the next hearing is on 18th, and so this drama is going to prolong till the budget session probably
Yes.
until and unless the governor takes a call and calls for a special session.
And Nitish Kumar's fears of horse trading, valid there?
Naturally, his fears, in a way, it could be true, because both sides are trying to claim majority, and see, he is parading the MLAs here. Manjhi could well try to win over the MLAs on his side.
Yes.
That is a very real possibility.
All right, Mr. JP Yadav, thank you so much for joining us, giving us a perspective into this story, and we'll have to wait and see, of course, still over a week to go, and we'll see what the governor eventually decides. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. Meanwhile, staying with the capital and talking about a completely different political story altogether. Just a day after creating electoral history, winning 67 of the 70 seats at stake in Delhi, the Aam Aadmi Party got to work immediately today. Party chief Arvind Kejriwal, in fact, met Urban Development Minister Venkaiah Naidu and Home Minister Rajnath Singh. Take a look.
Not wasting any time post his party's historic win, Delhi's Chief Minister-elect Arvind Kejriwal met Urban Development Minister Venkaiah Naidu on Wednesday. Kejriwal was accompanied by his close aide and AAP leader Manish Sisodia. They sought the centre's cooperation in several issues concerning the city-state.
बहुत सारी ऐसी चीजें हैं जिनमें हमें लगातार आपके सहयोग की जरूरत पड़ेगी। उसमें से 4 बड़े इश्यूज हमने उनसे रिक्वेस्ट किया है कि हमें जहां सहयोग की जरूरत पड़ने वाली है तुरंत। एक तो गांव देहात के जमीनों के मुद्दे हैं, बहुत सारा फोर्स लैंड एक्विजिशन होता है, गांव के जमीनों के मुआवजे के मुद्दे हैं। इन सारे मुद्दों पे हमें सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट से मदद की जरूरत पड़ेगी। दूसरा अनऑथराइज्ड कॉलोनीज के मुद्दे पर, जिस पर सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने अभी हाल में एक रेजोल्यूशन भी पास किया था।
I said we will be working together the larger interest of the state. I told them that my cooperation depends on your operation. If you perform well, and then if the requests are as per the norms that are available, I will be definitely extending support. There is no question of any political consideration whatsoever.
The Aam Aadmi Party chief also met Home Minister Rajnath Singh. The leader reiterated his demand of full statehood for Delhi.
आम आदमी पार्टी की पूर्ण बहुमत की सरकार दिल्ली में रहेगी और बीजेपी की पूर्ण बहुमत की सरकार केंद्र में है। तो ऐसे में दोनों ही पार्टियां अगर दिल्ली को पूर्ण राज्य का दर्जा देने पे एकमत रही हैं, तो अब से बढ़िया मौका नहीं होगा। इस मौके का फायदा उठाते हुए दिल्ली को पूर्ण राज्य का दर्जा देने में वो सहयोग करें।
Meanwhile, Arvind Kejriwal has refused to accept Z+ security marked out for him. Till he moves into his new home, Kejriwal's apartment building in Ghaziabad is to be guarded by 10 inspectors, 50 male constables and 10 women constables. Ending the VIP culture was a main poll plank of the Aam Aadmi Party. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, the Income Tax Department issued notices to 50 entities, including the Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress Party, over alleged tax evasion by fake companies. The IT department has asked AAP to respond to 7 questions by the 16th of February, just 2 days after Arvind Kejriwal will take over as Chief Minister of Delhi. An AAP breakaway group, Awam, had alleged that the party received donations of 2 crore rupees from fake companies. Meanwhile, in another case, Kejriwal was granted exemption from personal appearance for the day by a Delhi court in a criminal defamation case filed by an advocate. Kejriwal sought exemption from appearance because he was scheduled to meet, of course, the ministers.
हम शुरू से जब से ये मुद्दा उठा है, आम आदमी पार्टी कहती रही है कि इस पे इन्वेस्टिगेशन होना चाहिए, इस पे आरोप प्रत्यारोप की राजनीति नहीं होनी चाहिए। तो अगर इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट इसे प्रोब कर रहा है तो हम उसका भी स्वागत करते हैं। हम इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट के साथ पूरी कोऑपरेशन करेंगे। जो भी किसी कंपनी और आम आदमी पार्टी के बीच की डीलिंग हुई है, हम चाहते हैं उसका इन्वेस्टिगेशन हो। अगर वो अलग से उन कंपनीज का भी इन्वेस्टिगेशन करना चाहे तो इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट को करना चाहिए।
Meanwhile, the rift is growing between the BJP and its ally Shiv Sena in Maharashtra. The Sena mouthpiece Samna today openly attacked the BJP, taunting both Prime Minister Modi and BJP President Amit Shah for the party's electoral debacle in Delhi.
A day after its president took a dig at Prime Minister Narendra Modi for the BJP's electoral loss in Delhi, the Shiv Sena scaled up its attack in party mouthpiece Samna. In typically satirical prose, the editorial declared that the broom-wielding AAP had reduced the BJP to dirt in Delhi. Further, it said no one but the Prime Minister should accept the blame for it. Various BJP leaders have insisted that the Delhi election was not a referendum on Modi, shielding him against criticism from the defeat. The editorial claimed that the BJP paid a heavy price for running a negative election campaign. While the BJP refrained from reacting to Uddhav Thackeray, on Wednesday, party leaders immediately trashed the article.
दिल्ली विधानसभा के चुनावों को लेकर जितनी भी बातें सामने आ रही हैं और जितनी भी कमजोरियां सामने आ रही हैं, चाहे वो संगठन की है, चाहे वो किरण बेदी के मुख्यमंत्री डिक्लेयर करने या नहीं है, जाहिर तौर के ऊपर इसके ऊपर बैठना चाहिए और इसकी समीक्षा होनी चाहिए।
आणि त्यामध्ये दिल्लीमध्ये एवढ्या मोठ्या प्रमाणामध्ये जे 70 पैकी 67 जागा एवढ्या आपला का मिळाल्या, बाकी भारतीय जनता पक्ष आणि काँग्रेस यांची संख्या एवढी का कमी झाली, याचं ते विश्लेषण आहे। एक दुसरं असं की एक तर स्पष्टच आहे की ज्यावेळेला एखाद्या पक्षाला बहुमत तर जाऊ दे, अल्पमत पण नाही।
Other opposition parties feel the remarks indicate a falling out between the erstwhile allies.
दिल्ली के नतीजे के बाद अब शिवसेना भारतीय जनता पार्टी पे दबाव बनाने का काम कर रही है। हमें लगता है कि सत्ता में जिस तरह की हिस्सेदारी शिवसेना चाहती थी वो नहीं मिल पाई। दिल्ली की जीत के बहाने ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा दिल्ली में मंत्री पद मिले, महाराष्ट्र में ज़्यादा हिस्सेदारी बने, ये शिवसेना का प्रयास है।
The Samna remarks indicate that the BJP Shiv Sena rift that started before the Maharashtra state elections was never completely bridged. On Wednesday, Sena Minister Sanjay Rathore also alleged that he was sidelined in the Devendra Fadnavis cabinet in Maharashtra. His allegations followed the Samna editorial on the BJP. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
In other news, 6 Jharkhand Vikas Morcha MLAs on Wednesday joined the BJP a day after petitioning the Speaker to allow them to sit alongside the ruling BJP-led coalition members in the State Assembly. The MLAs on Tuesday wrote to the Speaker about their decision to join the BJP and contribute to the development of the state. They will formally join the Saffron Party in coming days. The JVM MLAs joined BJP at Jharkhand Bhavan in the presence of Jharkhand Chief Minister Raghuvar Das and other BJP leaders. BJP earlier had 37 MLAs of its own and formed the government, but now the alliance has 48 MLAs and is much more comfortably placed in the 81-member assembly.
जनता पार्टी तोड़-फोड़ में विश्वास नहीं करती है, भारतीय जनता पार्टी जोड़ने में विश्वास करती है और जिनको जो आरोप लगाना हो वो लगाए। हमारा काम है इस झारखंड की 3.25 करोड़ जनता, जो गांव, गरीब, किसान, पिछड़ा, आदिवासी समाज का विकास करना हमारा लक्ष्य है, विकास। और उस लक्ष्य से विरोधी कितनों भटकाने का कोशिश करे, रघुवर का दास भटकने वाला नहीं है।
कि पहले ये लोग भारतीय जनता पार्टी के ही सदस्य थे और वो उसमें बहुत से लोग बीजेपी से पहले से जुड़े हुए हैं और झारखंड में जिस तरह बीजेपी ने प्रचंड बहुमत प्राप्त किया है और उनके विधायकों को लगता है कि जो सपने लोग दिखाते हैं वो पूरे नहीं होते, काम सिर्फ बीजेपी कर सकती है। इसलिए 6 विधायक भारतीय जनता पार्टी में शामिल हुए हैं। भारतीय जनता पार्टी उनका स्वागत करती।
A reminder on the importance of maintaining communal harmony and adherence to the Constitution for governance. This was part of President Pranab Mukherjee's strong message speaking to governors of states and union territories. Here's more.
A lot of political speak has been expended recently over whether secular should be part of the preamble of the Constitution. And given a rise in communal rhetoric, President Pranab Mukherjee sent out a strong message on the importance of maintaining communal harmony, saying that it is necessary that the Constitution be the guiding document for governance. The President said, and I quote, "The Constitution of India is the guiding document that provides the framework for governance. Every Indian looks forward to the Constitution as the guarantor of her liberties, freedom and equality. Any deviation from the principles and provisions embodied in the Constitution would weaken the democratic fabric of the country and jeopardize the social, economic and political well-being of our citizens. The governors and lieutenant governors have the primary responsibility to ensure that the affairs of the states and union territories are conducted strictly in accordance with the letter and spirit of this hallowed document. Prevalence of peace and communal harmony must be ensured." The President was speaking to governors and lieutenant governors of states and union territories to discuss emerging challenges and other issues. The 2-day Governors' Conference, a first since Prime Minister Narendra Modi assumed office, will discuss issues like security with the main focus on borders, finance, sanitation, employment and on achievement of flagship schemes and projects. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And now let's get you other news and updates from across the country in Nationwide. 2 more patients died of the H1N1 virus, taking the number of deaths in Indore due to the swine flu to 17. In Gujarat, the virus has claimed 98 lives so far. Health Minister JP Nadda reviewed the situation in the state and expressed satisfaction over the steps taken by the state government in tackling the disease. Meanwhile, 10 more deaths were reported in the state today. The Delhi High Court refused to entertain a PIL seeking its intervention in the death of Sunanda Pushkar. A bench headed by Justice G. Rohini and Justice R.S. Enloe said that it won't entertain the plea as the necessary steps have already been taken. Meanwhile, Delhi Police's SIT will be further questioning former Union Minister Shashi Tharoor on Thursday. Focusing on ensuring cleanliness at railway stations, West Central Railways caught 432 people for littering and imposed a fine of 43,200 rupees. The campaign has been launched as per directives of the National Green Tribunal. As per the directives, Railway Board has been asked to conduct the drive and take appropriate measures in this regard. One person has died and 3 skiers trapped when an avalanche hit the Afarwat heights of Gulmarg in Jammu and Kashmir, but the skiers were rescued later by authorities. Police say that they are still checking with hotels and tourists to see if anyone else is missing. A quick break here. Up next, we're getting you international news. And US, UK and France closed their embassies in Yemen due to security reasons. More of that in a bit.
My guest is none other than the redoubtable Major General Mahmood Ali Durrani, former National Security Advisor of Pakistan.
I think there is a feeling there that maybe Modi has horns. What was happening in Kashmir was low intensity war. We were trying to bleed India. What has happened? India is the same size. We are divided in two. War is not the answer between India and Pakistan. We have to have peace.
Watch former National Security Advisor of Pakistan Mahmood Ali Durrani discuss India-Pak relations in To The Point, only on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching the news tonight. International news now, and top leaders gathered in Minsk for Ukrainian peace talks today. But ahead of the much-awaited talks, violence escalated on the Ukrainian border. At least 20 people were killed in fresh clashes, even as expectations are high about a peaceful solution.
Leaders and negotiators arrived in Belarusian capital Minsk, where France and Germany will assist Ukraine and Russia in examining options to ensure peace.
Alle Beteiligten sollten wissen, dass wir morgen noch einmal eine große Chance haben, einen ersten und wichtigen Schritt hin zur Entschärfung des Konfliktes, hoffentlich.
Ce matin, tôt, un contact entre le président français et la chancelière, et à partir du point des négociations, on va décider ou non d'aller à Minsk. Mais je pense que la décision sera prise.
As expected, fighting intensified ahead of the summit. Over 20 people were killed, 19 of them were Ukrainian soldiers. Ukraine's President Petro Poroshenko visited the rocket-hit city of Kramatorsk to appeal for an unconditional ceasefire. He even expressed his willingness to introduce martial law if the situation deteriorates in the east, at the same time sending out strong signal that he is ready both for peace and for fighting.
Можу вас запевнити, що Україна і Європейський Союз виступить з єдиною позицією на Мінському саміті і буде говорити одним голосом.
Ahead of the summit, representatives of the pro-Russian rebels put forward a proposal of political and military steps to de-escalate the conflict. The summit will focus on securing a ceasefire, withdrawal of heavy weapons, and creation of a demilitarized zone. Expectations are sky high, with both France and Germany hoping to bring together presidents of both warring sides together for negotiations. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, the United States has closed its embassy in Yemen due to deteriorating security situation in the country. The US State Department has confirmed that they have evacuated the entire staff. Britain has also withdrawn its staff from its embassy, with the embassy remaining closed, and France is to follow soon. The political crisis in Yemen escalated as the country was taken over by Shia Houthi rebels. They also took over the presidential palace and key buildings, after which President Abdul Rahba Mansour Hadi was forced to resign. Hadi, in fact, and his cabinet members are under house arrest since then. A UN-mediated national dialogue last week also failed to cut ice as Yemen's major political factions broke down last week, citing threats from the rebels.
It's a very fluid situation on the ground. So we remain engaged with numerous parties in Yemen to find a peaceful way forward, and we're certainly encouraging dialogue and the efforts to move forward through that path.
Well, the United States has confirmed the death of Kayla Mueller, an aid worker held hostage by the IS since August 2013. Mueller is the fourth U.S. hostage to be killed by the Islamic State. President Barack Obama has offered his condolences to the family.
Kayla has touched the heart of the world. The world grieves with us. The world mourns with us. The world wants to be more like Kayla. And if that is her legacy and the footprint that she leaves on the world, then that is a wonderful thing.
It seemed like a hope against hope. 19 months after she was taken hostage by the Islamic State group, US aid worker Kayla Mueller was killed. Her family revealed the news after receiving the message from her captors. US government has confirmed the death of Mueller, but the circumstances behind her death have not been given. Condemning the killing, a heartbroken US president said all efforts to free her came to a naught.
The immediate reaction is heartbreak. I've been in touch with Kayla's family. She was an outstanding young woman and a great spirit. And I think that spirit will live on. I think the more people learn about her, the more they appreciate her.
Mueller's family released a letter allegedly written during her captivity in which she says that she had been treated with utmost respect and kindness. Earlier, the Islamic State had claimed that Mueller was killed by a Jordanian airstrike, which was dismissed by Jordan as propaganda. Washington also cast doubt on the claims.
The information that we have is that there is no evidence of civilians in the target area prior to the coalition strike taking place. And that certainly would call into question the claims that are made by ISIL. What is not possible to call into question is that ISIL, regardless of her cause of death, is responsible for it.
3 other American citizens, journalists James Foley and Steven Sotloff, and aid worker Peter Cassing were beheaded by the Islamic State last year. According to the US government, at least one more US citizen is still being held hostage in the Middle East. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And now let's get you all the other international news and updates in Global Buzz. Iranians marched to mark the 36th anniversary of its 1979 Islamic Revolution as the country continued talks on its contested nuclear program. Every year, the commemoration of the anniversary is preceded by 10 days of grand celebration, and in recent years, Iran has used the anniversary to protest against the West for sanctions on its nuclear program. TransAsia Airways announced it will pay nearly $500,000 as compensation to relatives of each of the victims. The offer of $470,000 for each family comes 7 months after the airline made a similar payout to the families of 48 passengers killed in another crash last July. US President Barack Obama is all set to announce that he's bringing back nearly 1,300 US troops deployed in West Africa to fight the Ebola epidemic on the 30th of April. A White House statement said that about 100 US military personnel will remain in West Africa to help with the ongoing response. Malaysian police arrested a cartoonist for sedition after he condemned the judiciary for imprisoning opposition leader Anwar Ibrahim. Meanwhile, the president of the opposition's People's Justice Party and the wife of jailed political leader Anwar Ibrahim called on supporters to stage a mass rally outside the Malaysian prison. His party also announced it will file a motion in parliament condemning the judicial process. And now all the sports news in Sports Beat. Taking note of recent corruption allegations, the Kerala government has said that it will audit expenses in the 35th National Games. Chief Minister Oomen Chandy has ordered the local audit fund department to carry out the audit within 45 days. But despite the allegations, no cuts are being made in the expenses for the closing event. Mario Balotelli finally scored his first Premier League goal for Liverpool after a dry spell. Balotelli in fact sealed the dramatic 3-2 win over Tottenham. He scored the perfect winner to end the drought in the 83rd minute after coming off the bench. Liverpool led through Markovic's 15th minute goal before informed Tottenham forward Harry Kane continued his hot streak with a 26th minute equaliser. Tomac Berdych and Gael Monfils both progressed to the second round of the World Indoor Tournament in Rotterdam. Both won their matches with straight sets wins. And Berdych won of 6-1, 7-5 over Tobias Kamke of Germany. And Gael defeated fellow Frenchman Edouard Roger Vasselin 6-3, 6-2. That's it for the moment. Thanks so much for joining us. Keep watching Rajya Sabha TV.